class, you'll switch over to presentation.
Good morning. QuickBooks Online Tips and Tricks. That's where we're going to go today. So if you have any questions, QuickBooks Online Tips and Tricks. That's where we're going to go today. So if you have any questions, what I'd like, sorry, we were getting feedback. If you have any questions, go ahead and type it in the screen. Otherwise, you could send us an email and we'll get back to you as soon as possible with that information. This is typically a class I want to start doing on Thursdays, but I have to be out of town this week, so we're doing it fast. So what I'd like, if you want to do these along with me, you're going to go to the test screen. It's QuickBooks Online Shortcuts and Tips and Tricks we're using today. So there is a test program. It is qbo.intuit.com/redirect or REDIR/test drive. Okay, so I've been instructed to keep going. First things first, we're on the home screen and we need to say we want to start an invoice. Instead of clicking your mouse on Start Invoice, we want to go to Control-Alt-I. So on your keyboard, Control-Alt and I. No idea what you just said.
That's where the comments will pop up.
And it's not working. Oh, let's go. There we go. Having trouble with. All right, so Control-Alt-I takes you straight to the invoice screen. So you're ready to invoice. Control-Alt-W will be to write a check. So make sure you get out of your invoice screen. Control-Alt and W. Right there. So always back at the home screen, you can't be in an actual operating screen. The way I remember it, Control-Alt-I, I is for invoice. Perfect. Control-Alt-W for write a check. Okay. So we want to do an expense instead of a check. So an expense, instead of E, we're going to go with X for expense. Perfect. We're right at the expense screen. We're going to choose our vendor. And it's going to come out of the MasterCard account. Today's date, it's a credit card. Payment method, or make it Amex. And it is repairs and maintenance on our equipment. And the amount is $45. And this is not billable to a customer. This is our own expense. So now we've finished this expense. Our next shortcut is going to be a Control-Alt-D for save. But I want to show you, if you actually pick up your mouse, there it shows you what that shortcut will be. Save and close, Control-Alt-D. So Control-Alt-D. That expense has now saved. So we can go Control Alt X. Let's go back to your expense screen for just a moment. Control Alt S is going to save and new. So now let's do an expense to video games by Dan. I'm going to put it to a checking account this time. And we paid for it with cash. And inventory error. Installation. We'll go installation for this guy. For $54, and this is going to be billable to a customer Freeman Sporting Good. So Control Alt S will save and take us to a new screen, so we can continue working in that expense account. You can't tell, but if you look closely as I do this, my hands have never left the keyboard. So every time you have to move your hands from the keyboard and pick up a mouse, there's my mouse, it slows me down. But if I can just continue, I'm moving my mouse off the screen, so I can continue typing and can continue my work and never touch the mouse with hands on keyboard, makes you much more efficient. Escape key will take you out of this expense and back to the beginning. So we have Control I for invoice, Control W for write check, Control Alt I, Control Alt W, Control Alt X for expense. Now Control Alt R will get us to receive a payment. So exactly the same way you can receive a payment from Diego Rodriguez. We can find it by the invoice number if we know it, or we can just cancel out. We just know he's going to give us, I'm just tabbing through, so I'm not actually ever touching the keyboard, the mouse. Memo, it's a deposit. I don't know, we're just making stuff up as we go here. Control Alt S if I want to save a new, or Control Alt D if I want to end that. Never have my hands left the keyboard. All right. So we want to correct or add an estimate. Pretty easy, Control Alt E. All right. So we want to check our item list. We want to add something to our item list, for example. Pretty intuitive. Control Alt L. There's the different lists that we have available to us. Which list do we want? Now I'm just tabbing through, and as you see, we have an underline. Tab through. And we go to our chart of accounts. Let's see our chart of accounts. I don't know, can you see the little gray around there? And if you see the gray, we know we are into our chart of accounts. All right, keeping an eye out for questions. And even if I've moved on and you have a question, go ahead and type it in. I know we probably, since I am a day early on this, we probably don't have too many followers yet. But we'll post this on Thursday, and then it will be on our Facebook page for you to continue to look out for more additional tips and tricks. Next week, we're going to be looking at desktop. If we've gone too fast, you need more information, be sure to send us your email address. We'll send you a link, and we'll get you on our mailing list so you can keep abreast of what's coming up. All right, so we are going to go back to our dashboard. So we have Control Alt I invoice, Control Alt W for write checks, expense, receive payment, estimate, list. For our chart of accounts, Control Alt A, easy peasy. Control Alt C will take you to your customer list. Control Alt V for your vendors. Control Alt F, my favorite, search, find. It says search transaction, I always think of it as as find. So we want to find $125. Just tab over to your little microphone or microphone magnifying glass. There you go. We found one transaction for $125 from Tim Phillip Masonry. We can copy that to a bill because that was just a PO. All right. So, and then the ever useful help, Control Alt H. What do we want to help with? We were just on purchase orders, so it came up with how do we find a purchase order. All right. So we want to, let's create an invoice. Control Alt I. We are going to go with, we got in the L's. We don't have any L. Let's look at, so let's see, let's go to our invoice date. Today's the 4th, but this actually happened on September 29th. We can take our mouse, we can go up here and we can find this and we can click back, find the date, and then move through. Or you can hit your plus on your keyboard, whoop, or your minus, and it's subtracting until we find the correct date. If the date is highlighted as we are here, plus, minus, whoops. There we go. Let's delete the entire date. In QuickBooks Desktop and online, it is not necessary when you're typing in a date to put in the backslashes. So we want to do 10/3/17. If you tab over, it automatically puts the slashes in there for you. So there's two shortcuts for your date, pluses and minuses, or add the date without the slashes and it'll quickly add it for you. On the date, we can also change this to the beginning of the week, the beginning of the month, beginning of the year. So if I just hit T, it's going to take me to today. If I do W, it takes me to the beginning of the week. If I do W for the beginning of the week, K for the end of the week. T for today, W for the beginning of the week, K for the end of the week. How about month? Beginning of the month. We don't have the end of the month. Oh, I'm sorry, we do. End of the month, H. Okay, T for today, W for week, beginning of the week, end of week, M, beginning of the month, H, end of month. All right. Fast and furious. Love it. And then again, plus and minus. So we're going to tab on through. Now, because our invoice date was the 1st of November, when I put the due date as the beginning of the month, it automatically put it to the beginning of the month that we were working the invoice. The end of the month is going to put it, it's not the month that we're in, but the month of the invoice date that we're in. So again, you can change your net to due on receipt. Changed it to today. We don't want today. We want the end of the week. Beginning of the month. How about next month? No. There we go. So here's my next favorite on an invoice or a bill or any time you have an amount, account and amount. Let's find a lighting. Whoops, let's go for lighting. Design lighting. We're going to design one. We're not sure what kind of rate we want to put on this for various reasons. We're going to try and figure out what our cost was. So we had a cost of $15. We want to multiply that times a factor of 50%. It automatically multiplied that for us. Or we can do 7.5 plus 50 plus 2.5 minus 80. So you have your own little calculator in any field where you have amounts, even in the quantity. 50 plus 2 is 52. But we want this to be 19, and it automatically added that. What if we don't want to put a rate in here, but we know what the amount we want to end up? We want to end up with $15.25. It'll automatically calculate our rate here. So no need to get your 10 key out. No need to pull up the keyboard, the calculator on your computer. Just use a 10 key right here on your account and amount. So we're done with the page. And if we remember Control-Alt-S will save and send. Control-Alt-D will just save and close the page. Control-Alt-S. We have an email in. It is going to go out and save that invoice and send it off. And we're ready to do our next invoice. So we don't have to grab the mouse again to get out of here. Oh, here's another fun little tip and trick. You want to see which invoices you've done recently? We have a time clock. We can go back and look at what was recent. Here's the recent invoices that happened. We have one for Getta. We have one for Sew and Shine Family, Freeman Sporting Goods, Cool Cars, Mark Chu. We want to look at what happened with Mark. Takes us right to it. And we can go back to our most recent invoice for Getta. All right. So Control-Alt-X will just get us out of that transaction as well as the escape key. Let's say we're in this invoice, Control-Alt-I, we're in this invoice. And we think we're gonna start something for Kate Whalen, and something happens, and all of a sudden we need to get out of here. This was all wrong. We screwed it up. The salesman just came in and said, Miss Whalen has changed the amount totally. Instead of, we can just cancel this whole thing, short and sweet, since we've never made any, since we haven't saved anything. Again, the Control-Alt cancel, it's going to be C. We want to exit without savings. Yes is already highlighted. You can see the gray right here, so you don't have to touch it. Just hit enter. Okay. All right. So basically, those are some of our favorite tips and tricks and shortcuts. Here's a shortcut or a tip that works not only for QuickBooks Online, but it will work for any web browser page. If you hit the Control key and plus, you see in the top corner, right, look where my mouse is. The screen is magnifying to 150%. If you need to drill in and see something closely, there it is. Control minus. Maybe we need more stuff on the screen for whatever reason. Control plus and control minus. The other fun thing that I like to do, if you're only working with one screen, you're not lucky enough to have two monitors, or maybe you're on your laptop and you need to see two different web pages at one time, we're going to open a new tab. We're going to separate it. Pull it off so they're not together. All right, so now we go down, we're going to see, oh, we don't. I want to see my new page. Let's say I've gone to my bank. And I want to look at my bank account at the same time I'm looking at my QuickBooks Online for whatever reason. If you find your Windows key, hit your right arrow, you get a half screen. Click on your QuickBooks, right arrow, left arrow. Now we have, basically you get the option of almost like having two monitors. Over here, F11 will give you full screen. F11 to exit takes you back to your half screen. All right, so again, my name is Lorrie Reed with Business Resource Partner. I am QuickBooks Pro Advisor for the last 7 or 8 years, giving you some tips and tricks, best use of QuickBooks. Next week, we're going to do a little bit of desktop. So if you have questions about your desktop, feel free to email the questions to me early. And otherwise, if you want a list of those shortcuts, go ahead and send those to me. Send me your name and address and we'll email those out to you. And if you have any questions about your QuickBooks, give us a call, make an appointment. We'd love to talk to you and see what we can do to help you out. Thanks, you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next week on Thursday. Bye.